Hey guys, hair is super frizzy yet, cause I'm still in the car and, haven't decided yet if I'm gonna put like distance between this one and the previous. Probably not. I don't see the real reason to. But I just felt the need to create another video for some reason. So here we are. And, so this one, I just want to talk about love. Not so much the love between spouses. That's really not anything that I am qualified to talk on because I have never experienced that personally. But because I am 27, so a lot of people are married by the time they get to be my age. That's not the case for me. There are many reasons for it. Partially because it's not my time, according to God. Partially because apparently I thought I was ready to get married around the age of like 23, and I was wrong. I was very wrong. Partially because I tend to run the opposite direction when I find somebody that I'm interested in. There are all kinds of reasons for this, and all kinds of reasons why I'm probably not anywhere close to getting married, even at this age. All that to say that the love that I really wanted to talk about was love between like you and your parents, and you and other people. So I know, especially when you're in a hard home life, whether it's permanent, whether it's temporary, there can be a lot of time where you don't feel like they love you too much. And that's a hard place to be because the number one person who's supposed to love you is your mom and dad. What's really unfortunate about this time in the world, the Bible talks about times where, in the end days, people will be lovers of themselves, they'll be disobedient to parents, all kinds of things, selfish, the whole list of things. And it's interesting because you think the end of the world is going to come and it's just riots and it's just anarchy and it's just things blowing up, maybe nuclear things, and maybe some of that may happen, but what the Bible talks about is actually human character devolving. Not devolving. I don't believe in evolution, and I can do a whole nother video on how it doesn't make any sense. But that it's very intelligent theory for the 1860s. Now that it is 2020 and our scientific evidence should be somewhere different than it is if evolution were to, I think it's pretty foolhardy theory, actually. But what was I talking about? Here we go. Yeah, anyway, so over time, I think it's because, when people don't turn to God, the world's just full of sin, okay? And when you don't heal and you don't address it, generation to generation, it just keeps getting passed down. And over time, as people continue not to heal, not to repent, not to turn away from their sin, they pass on their struggles to their children. And you end up, over time, having an entire society of people who don't love, their hearts are cold, they're selfish, and we see a lot of that in this country, in this world, generally speaking. It's really interesting, and it's kind of scary because, I don't know about you guys, I don't do scary movies, okay? But there are certain villains that scare me more than others. Clowns don't bother me. I don't know, I don't even watch scary movies, so I don't even know. Vampires don't really scare me. Werewolves, I mean, maybe a little bit. The ones that scare me the most are like dolls, robots, and puppets. I do not like them. And I was like trying to figure out why. And I think because to me, that human emotional connection is so important to me. And it's ironic because I can be really bad at that. But it's like the desire of my heart is like to have that human interaction and to have somebody who looks like a human being, who represents human qualities, not having humanity and not having love and that human spirit and kindness towards other people, that's terrifying to me. And it's kind of scary right now because you see all these videos of it's really not about race, guys. It started out that way, and it unfortunately keeps persisting because people keep saying it's about race. And I do think the discussion needs to keep being had. All the stuff going on has been really eye-opening as far as, like, I didn't know some of my black friends, like, what they experience. I didn't know they had to have so many more considerations when they run into a police officer, like, or they get pulled over. They have to be extra careful. Like, I never had to worry about that. Part of that is because I'm a female, and part of that is because I'm white. And I do think it's interesting, and I do think we should keep having those conversations. But there is no excuse for the anarchy and the terrorizing of other human beings, whether they're black or white. And it's unfortunate because, nobody's talking about black on black crime. I don't want to say nobody. There are plenty of people, but they're all conservatives, talking about black on black crime, and it matters. And it's not about trying to turn away from racism. It's like, if black lives matter to you, then you talk about what is impacting them. And if black on black crime is a severe issue, then you talk about that because you care. But the problem is, people don't care. They're faking it. And they're using it to cause riots. And you just see these videos of people, mobs of people chasing other people and beating them to the ground. It's ridiculous. There is no excuse for it. I don't care if, Martin Luther King Jr. is a remarkable man. Was a remarkable man. He was a phenomenal speaker. He was brilliant. He was kind. He was wise. He wasn't just intelligent. He was wise. He could see things that other people couldn't see. But instead of listening to people like that, people are just listening to these emotional appeals, and they're going mad in the streets and terrorizing other people. Guys, this is what lack of love looks like. It's yelling at a complete stranger in the restaurant. You don't know them. You don't know their circles. You don't know their heart. You don't know if they're racist or supremacist or not, but you're yelling in their face. Black or white. There are videos of young white dudes. It's always like teenagers and college students because they're airbrained sometimes. Sorry. But, they're yelling in people's faces like you don't even know this person and you're yelling in their face. How do you think that that's just? How do you think that's justice? It's not. You don't know that person. That person might have done nothing wrong in regard to what you're so upset about, but you're yelling at them anyway. Why? Because they're white. That's racist. Okay, anyway. It's just, there's just this incredible lack of regard for human life. Whether it's unborn, black, white, even, I just found out, I had no idea, Asian Americans are discriminated against in the college admissions process. And possibly other ways too. I don't know. I just heard about this like a month ago on a Louder with Crowder video. I wanted to change my mind. It wasn't about that at all. I forget what it was about. But I just remember this Asian college student being like, yeah, I had a 32 on my ACT and I was rejected to this school because he's Asian. And his friend was black and had like a 27 or something. I don't remember the exact situation. But his friend had like a 27 and got in because he wasn't Asian. Like, he was discriminated against because of his scores, because he's Asian. Like, he worked for that. He worked hard. It's not just because he's born smart, although that's probably true. Asians work really, really hard as part of their culture. And I think that should be applauded, and that should be rewarded. I think it's ridiculous that we discriminate against that. Anyway, okay, so this was supposed to be about love. It's frustrating because you just see it all over the news of people just disregarding other people, and they call it some other issue. But it's really a lack of love for other people. Whether it's people being racist, people being racist but saying they're fighting racism, people just beating up other people. People, even there was that problem with the Netflix movie, which was inappropriately showing kids, and the fact that hardly anyone talks about human trafficking. Hardly anyone even in the church talks about abortion or human trafficking or any of these issues. And it's just a disregard for human life. That's all it is. And so all this to say, we all still have a need for love, but some of us might not receive it from other people, especially now in 2020. It just seems like there's a huge lack for it, especially in our country where we're taught to be self-serving and we're taught to be independent and to look out for ourselves. The fact of the matter is we might be very individualistic here, but we still need each other because God created us that way, and you can fight that all you want to, but it doesn't matter. Like, it is what it is. We need each other, and we might need the love of our parents. We might need the love of our friends. And we might not get it. And that can be a really hard situation, because you have this desire and you want it to be fulfilled so badly, and you might even be acting like a crazy person trying to get it from your friends, and maybe trying to, you get jealous if your friends have other friends, or, if your parent prefers your other sibling. It can cause problems because you want love so bad. First of all, I don't really have a perfect solution for that. The one thing I can say is you're not alone, and people they grow up without things that we consider as essential. Whether that's, not being loved by your parents, whether that's something physical, like a physical ailment that you're born with. Maybe, I remember a guy in my elementary school, he was born missing his entire forearm, or I think that's what that's called. Yeah. He had, like, one of his arms, and he played basketball and stuff, like, he overcame, but still, like, that's something he was born without, or that he didn't have, even as an adult. Like, he doesn't have that now, he can't, and other people do, and so we have to understand that it's part of life to have things that other people have gotten, and it does seem unfair, and it does seem like, man, I really wish I had that. I really wish it would have put me in a better place, to have that. But we all just have to realize, look, that's going to be the case with all kinds of things, and we have to stop looking at what we don't have and start looking at what we've been given, and start to realize, look, maybe I don't feel completely loved by other people right now. First of all, that might be my own perception. That might be your own perception. There might be people, they might not express it well because they're hurting and they're not showing it, but they do love you. Sometimes you have parents or friends who really don't, and they don't feel that because they probably didn't get it from their parents either. That happens a lot. People who grow up without it, see, this is what I was talking about at the beginning, with sins that get passed down, problems that get passed down. A lot of times with parents who have trouble loving their kids, like, they don't seem to have that innate ability to do that, it's because they weren't loved themselves when they were kids, and so they didn't grow up. Your brain's developing when you're a kid, and, like, when you don't have that, it messes with your brain, it messes with your wiring, and it's hard to overcome that. You can definitely, and I want to give you hope. Like, first of all, watch out for that. Don't look, some of it is inevitable. We're not perfect, okay? But make it a goal of your life, even as you're a kid. Heal now. Take in resources like this video, like other channels, like books, teachers, maybe different classes you can take as electives at school. Take opportunities to grow, to learn, form good relationships, practice having loving relationships with other people, and make it a goal to really move beyond that to a point where you have healed from it and you're doing well, so that way it stops the chain. So that way when you have kids, you don't keep going. And I believe that God is really crucial in this process, that you need to be able to pray about things. You need to be able to give things to Him, to repent of things, to pray and ask Him to help you with things. I do believe that will help, like, threefold. Is that the word? Would it be 300-fold? I don't know what that means. But I think it would help a lot. But I do think that even just healing from your past, making real attempts to not hold on to your past, to recognize it as, sure, it's an influence, but it's not, your past does not determine your future. You have choices and you have opportunities, and so take those. You have opportunities to grow, to learn, to find other relationships, just friendships even, can help you feel loved, give love, to learn, to heal, to have those connections with other people. That will help you to heal, that will help you to grow. Nothing can really replace your mom or your dad, that love that you're supposed to have from them, okay? And it's kind of a disadvantage for those of you who are in that situation. And I've been there, I get it. No offense. But it is what it is. So, like, been there. There's hope. You just gotta have the perspective of that things can change. That's where I see a lot of, even some kids that I've talked to, I'm like, okay, let's read books, let's go do this. Oh, like, you can do this, and sometimes it takes just persistence, but sometimes it's just like, all they want to do is like, they make excuses, and then they don't move forward. And I've been guilty of that. Oh my gosh. I used to blame my parents and my family for everything. What's interesting is, while I do think that's true, that your parents and your past and all and trauma can really impact you and explain why you did what you did. But that doesn't give you a license to do what you do. You are still held accountable by God for what you choose. Even if, some people might be more likely to sin certain ways than others, depending on where your hurts are. But that doesn't mean that it's okay. It explains it. It gives us more understanding and empathy for each other when we understand the background. But it doesn't give you an excuse. And I want to caution us, because I have to remember that, like, hardcore. Oh, tapping on myself. We have to remember that. So, yeah. Just remember that it matters what you do, what you choose with your life. So, this was all over the place. These videos are going to be all over the place. I hope that's your learning style. It's like, there's visual, there's auditory, there's visual, auditory. Oh, tactile. And then there's rabbit trail. Okay, so that's the 4th learning style officially. I just poked myself in the eyeball. Is I love videos that are all over the place. You're welcome. This is the place for you. All right. Hope that helped somehow.